These are the 9 things that I wish someone would have told me when I first started making money online, coming from someone who's made a few $1,000,000 in profit online in just the last few years by the age of 24. And I tell you all of that, not to brag, but just so you can understand who I am and why I'm making this video, because my younger, poorer self growing up with a single mother on food stamps would have benefited greatly from hearing this. And the first thing that I wish I knew was that to achieve what I wanted, I had to become a sculptor. So take Michelangelo, for example. As an artist, he wouldn't just start hacking away at a block of marble with no goal in mind, hoping to carve out a masterpiece of a statue. Instead, he would spend time planning and meditating and envisioning what the statue would look like once he's done sculpting it. He said something like, every block of stone has a statue inside of it, and it's the job of the sculptor to discover it. In the same way, your future is like the block of stone, and it's your responsibility as the sculptor to carve out the life that you want to live. If you carelessly went hacking away at a block of stone, if you didn't take the role of sculptor in your life will look like an afterthought. But when you intentionally sculpt it out, you can live a beautiful life. If you could truly have anything that you wanted, what would it look like? Would you be a digital nomad who works remotely from a laptop while traveling the world? Would you want to be a serial entrepreneur who builds world-class businesses? Or maybe you just want to be able to retire early and spend your time on your own terms. There's no right answer, but you should be able to answer and explain what it is you want. Even if it is just the money that you're after, by owning that goal, it will at least give you a direction to go in. Deciding what kind of life you want to live and the businesses that you want to start allows you to work backwards from those goals and start to create your life for yourself. Look, if you clicked on this video, you're here because you want to make money. And the thing I would tell my younger self is that you can really do anything that you want to do and the money will come. I spent countless hours and weeks delaying the start of my online business because I wasn't sure of myself. I had this vision of owning a successful dropshipping store that I could run from my laptop from anywhere in the world without a ton of employees or a ton of risk. And the only thing between me and my success was that lack of belief that I could actually do it. But once I had that clear goal in mind, I started to take the next steps, which is more important than the goal itself, and I began sculpting. See, at the beginning of a race, everybody has the exact same goal, which is just to complete the race. The difference between the winners and the losers isn't having that goal, but it's what they do to get there. I truly believe that you can do and have anything that you want, and the goal gives you that direction, but the actions you take to get there is what separates you from the rest. The second lesson that I wish I knew was that money follows attention. For me, with the goals I had and the kind of money that I wanted to make, making millions of dollars online, I understood that I needed to own some kind of business. This led me down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out which business was best and most profitable or easiest to start, and it ultimately got me nowhere. Even after trying some of these businesses, I would keep switching back and forth, chasing new opportunities, or just looking for a hack that would work for me. The thing is, each time I switched between an opportunity, it would reset me back at zero. But once I realized that money follows attention, I poured all of my attention into one single business model. I picked one business vehicle and committed to working on it until it would work for me. Now, this was a challenge for me to do because I had to sacrifice all of the other businesses and the other opportunities that I wanted to do in the short term and only focus on one business to actually get it to grow. You only need one high leverage skill to earn your first 6 or 7 figures. And channeling all of your attention into building that skill is how you get there. Starting my dropshipping business back in 2019, I was also trying to do all kinds of other businesses. I was in real estate, I was trying to do dropshipping, I was trying to do affiliate marketing, and I had to cut out everything that wasn't part of my vision and focus on the one thing, which actually ended up being dropshipping on Etsy's marketplace. Now, because I'm a big believer that many businesses can work, I actually made an entire video covering how to pick the best business for you to start this year, which you can watch at the end of this video if you're interested. But picking that one business vehicle and sticking with it and channeling all of my attention into it is how I started making money online at the age of 19. It was a small amount, but it was a start. But even after I picked that one business vehicle to go all in with, I still didn't know what I was doing. It was a new business vehicle and I didn't know how to drive it fast. The important lesson here was that despite not knowing exactly what or how to do it, I decided to do it anyway. Lesson number 3 is to become the type of person who says yes. My experience has been that there's rarely a perfect moment to start almost anything. And actually, starting something before it's the perfect time is usually better. If you're able to start a business when you're the most busy that you've ever been, when you're busy with school or your job, it proves that you're even more capable when things are going your way. Becoming the type of person who says yes, who dives in when it feels like it might not be the perfect time, that's how you catch the biggest and best waves of success. When that perfect moment comes, it might already be too late. See, after I quit my full-time job cooking noodles, I had no money coming in, and I was spending hundreds of dollars each month trying to be in the real estate business. Despite this being, on paper, a terrible time to go all in on a new business, I dialed in and committed to growing my e-commerce business instead. Now, I'm definitely not saying that you should quit your job or drop out of school just to start a business, but I am saying that taking risks when I'm nervous has given me a huge advantage. And that brings us nicely into lesson number 4, which I wish someone had told me before I started making money online, which is to focus on the story and not the risks. Now, in wanting to make a lot of money from my businesses, I was still nervous about taking risks. That nervous feeling, I don't think ever fully goes away, but instead I've learned to think about it differently. Just imagine that there's two people with the exact same level of wealth. One person inherited their entire fortune, and the other person earned it all for themselves. Which of these two people is more likely to feel fulfilled? Who isn't going to worry that if they lost it all, they can earn it right back? And who's going to feel more accomplished and self-confident? To me, it's obvious that the journey itself is rewarding. The risks that you take along the way and the challenges that you face are all part of the story that you're going to be able to tell when you're at the top of the mountain. Growing businesses and earning money requires you to take some risks, but those risks that you take along the way are not only the building blocks for your success, but they're the moments that you're going to treasure forever. Taking a leap of faith, no matter how big or small, it becomes a piece of your character and who you are. I would tell my younger self to enjoy the process of escaping being poor, to enjoy the moments when you get to claw at life and strive for a better future, because that better future does come. And everything that I get to live through makes for a much better story and builds me into the character that I actually want to be. And that brings us to principle number 5, which is you have to be willing to improvise. When I started my dropshipping business in 2019, I thought I knew exactly what it was going to look like. I'd set up a Shopify store, do a couple hours of work here and there, and enjoy all of the passive income. The thing is that the way it works out in reality is almost always different from what it looks like in your mind. I still ended up with my goal of owning a dropshipping business, but it looked completely different than I had originally thought. Now, it might be small differences, but for example, instead of starting out on a Shopify store like most people, I ended up starting an Etsy shop to utilize their free traffic. And then instead of selling products from China, I ended up dropshipping print on demand and digital products instead. If I hadn't been willing to improvise and walk through the doors that were opening to me while I was on my journey, I would have missed some of the best opportunities that I had. I just continued to hold that goal in my mind and then move towards it. If I hadn't been willing to sell on Etsy's platform, or if I had been too focused on finding winning products from China, or if I had never even gotten started to begin with, I would have missed literally the opportunity that changed my entire life. Now, lesson number 6 that I would tell myself before making any money online is that the only thing that matters is being better than yourself yesterday. It's easy to compare yourself to everyone that you see online, everyone who's making millions and millions of dollars or selling their companies and hiring employees, and they're outsourcing everything and it seems like they have no worries. But the only metric that you need to follow is how you compare to who you were yesterday. In the most selfish way possible, the only thing that matters is making yourself better than you were before. Detaching what everyone else might think about you or what you think about them from who you actually are is one of the most valuable things that you can do. There's always someone who's making more money than you. There's always someone who's more successful in some aspect of life. True, honest success comes from growing and learning and becoming better than you were yesterday. To me, that's all success is. And when you measure your own personal success on who you've become compared to who you were, that's ultimately when I've gotten the most amount of growth. It allows me to not be jealous of anyone else's success, and it helps me refocus on the only thing that matters, which is becoming better than myself today. Now, in practice, it can be difficult to not get jealous when you see someone winning or successful, whether it's on social media or in your friend group. So one way that I kind of help deal with that is by just congratulating them or mentally thinking about how cool it is that they were able to build or achieve whatever they did. And this removes all of those feelings of jealousy, and it just helps me stay on track to focusing on what I need to do, which is just improving myself. Now, one of the most dangerous traps that I see derailing so many people from reaching their fullest potential is chasing shiny objects. The watches, the cars, the private jets, the vacations, These are all really great things and they're made to be enjoyed. I do think it's a good thing when you're able to spend your money on these types of things and enjoy them because it can be a part of life. The issue is when they become your goal. Similar to how I said you have to chase the story of who you're becoming, you want to receive these objects because you became the type of person who's really earned them. I mean, you can go out and buy a brand new Lamborghini if you make $10,000 to $15,000 a month, but at that point, how rich are you actually? To me, these shiny objects are tokens that represent a lifestyle that you've earned that won't go away. If you earn $50,000 a month and then spend $50,000 a month, you're just as broke as someone who makes a tenth of that. Shiny objects also don't fulfill you like working on something that you're passionate about. When you enjoy the hike to the top of the mountain more than you enjoy the top of the mountain, you can hike taller and taller mountains. Now, you'll learn to climb these mountains by following the lead of others, and that brings us into lesson number 8, which is one of the biggest cheat codes I know of: investing in yourself. You can have the best mountain to climb, the best business model in front of you, but if you don't know what you're doing, the journey to the top will be very painful. A little over a year ago, I decided to start this YouTube channel where I share everything that I know about business and dropshipping and just things that I'm interested in. But the channel only grew because I was fully invested in it. Not only did I invest a ton of time into learning how to do YouTube well, but I also invested money into coaching and courses. This is one of the only cheat codes of life. When you can learn from someone who's done the exact thing that you want to do, it makes you go at minimum 10 times faster. You get to skip over all of their mistakes and apply everything that they did right without spending the years or months of time that it took them to learn those lessons. Now, to be clear, I've been successful in businesses without paying for education or mentors. But once I started investing more into my own education is when I grew faster because I didn't have to live through all of the mistakes that someone else already made. This also doesn't mean that every piece of education you buy is created equally. I've bought courses that I didn't like as much as others, but I've almost always come away with at least something of a value. To me, even if I can learn just one lesson, that can mean the difference in months of time that I save. If I could go back to before I started making money online, I would skip investing in the stock market and I would only invest into education from people who were doing the thing that I wanted to do. Now, that brings us into lesson number 9, which is that money is a byproduct of your patience. Building a large income, building successful businesses, it simply takes time. In practice, everything that I've done has been simple to do, but maybe not exactly easy. If you want to make extraordinary money in your life, it's only possible by becoming the character who can own the business that makes the money. And the only way to become that character is by making a decision every single day to work and act in that manner. Patience just allows you to keep working and moving towards your goals without seeing the immediate progress. If you can apply these lessons for long enough, you can absolutely create the life that you want to. Hopefully, you can take this wisdom and avoid at least some of the mistakes that I've made. Look, if you're curious to how I built my dropshipping business on Etsy, then you can watch this video next, and I'll see you over there.